我的头发 OK 吗？我今天我家凤还没有梳头发。If you're a mom with children in preschool, you will love this episode. My guest here today will be answering some popular questions that mom have on preschool education. Hi, my name is Joy and welcome to 4th episode of Cooking with Joy. And in this episode, we will be cooking Claypot Chicken Rice with mushrooms. Let's welcome my good friend Denise.
Hi, Joy. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, many moms like me always face many challenges when it comes to parenting, and Denise is a fellow mom like me. She has been working in the early childhood education sector for more than 18 years, with extensive experience in teaching, leading, curriculum planning and teacher training. And she holds a master's degree in early childhood education, and she is currently managing the center quality for the group of preschool. Wow, 好长嘞! And Denise, thank you for coming today and in the midst of your busy schedule, and congrats for completing your masters. I don't know how to do it. I don't think so I can do it, man. Yeah, so she can manage, study, work and take care of the children at the same time. And Denise has 2 boys who is always full of energy. And can you share with us how you actually do everything at the same time?
To be honest, I don't know how I did it last year, but I guess I just do it like a lot of moms do. Last year was particularly challenging for me as I was pursuing my master's full-time. I was also working part-time, and then we are like, round-the-clock moms, right? But if you ask me, I am a planner. I like to plan things lah. So for example, I will allocate specific times for specific things to do, to check off my to-do list. So weekdays apart from work, I actually allocate my hours to work. I also allocate a certain time to read my readings and then like catch up on my assignments and everything else as well. I also deliberately set aside time for exercise, which you have been part of. We went to climb Bukit Timah Hill a few times.
This lady made me climb, man.
So in a nutshell, right, when you look at my schedule, I actually plan my time around my boys' needs lah. And then based on like what time I need to pick them up from classes and send them to classes and everything else as well. Weekends, I actually spend the time with the family, as with a lot of us, we do that, right? So we take time to go outdoors with the children, spend time with family, spend time with friends. So that's what we usually do.
I really don't know how you do it, but I'm glad that you haven't gone crazy. Yeah, okay, maybe let's start, like doing our dish first, right? Okay. Let's go! I super love this dish, especially during my super busy day, because it's one pot dish.
Yes, that's right.
Everything also don't need just one pot.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look at the ingredients today. Over here we have chicken whole leg. I actually cut into few parts. And before this show, I've actually marinated with light soy sauce, oyster sauce, dark soy sauce, and some sugar, and then you can put a bit of pepper, and then you just marinate. If you have time, you can do it overnight, or if you don't have time, you can do it like half an hour before you cook. Yeah. Then we have the garlic, ginger, sesame oil, and some Chinese mushroom. So for this, right, you need to soak beforehand. Right, because we use dry Chinese mushroom. Right. And we also have Basmati Rice, which is a low GI, or especially if your kids like mine need to cut a bit of fats, slim down a bit, And we have water. Alright, so let's start cooking.
Yes,
alright. Okay, Denise, so now we will put in the ginger and garlic first. Yeah, 全部丢进去. Okay, the amazing thing, we don't need to chop. With Thermomix, it will actually chop by itself. So now we will scrape down the garlic and ginger out. Oh, you really need to see this one. See, all chopped, all done. So easy. So
5
we have to.
Better than 1 minute.
I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay, so 放麻油. So Denise, you want to put it in? So now what we're going to do is to 爆香, Yeah. Alright, so inside, so 100 is for 3 minutes, 120 degree, and for, so that will be 3 minutes. Alright, 爆香了。So 现在呢 you gotta put in a chicken. Okay 哈。我每次放这个我很怕它跳出来的耶。You know sometimes 太粗鲁 then the whole thing jump out. Okay. So we will have
by the mushrooms.
Alright. So this will take 5 minutes. Alright, 5 minutes. Alright. Hey, Denise, 我要问你啊 you know, I know that you have been working in the early childhood sector for more than 18 years. Wow, I believe you have many moms that comes to you for advice on preschool education, right?
Yes, they do.
So recently, I also put an IG story and asked, you know, my fellow moms what are the questions that they have for you. So I have this very, you know, common question they have is, what are the key considerations when selecting a preschool for my child?
I think that's a question that a lot of moms ask me, and they always ask me this question: what is a good preschool? So I think in a nutshell, right, if you ask me, right, a preschool must meet the needs of your family. I think that's very important. So the needs can be seen as the kind of care, the kind of educational experience that you want your child to receive. And then followed by very practical needs, right, in terms of cost. And then distance from home to school, which is something that's quite important to me, because we don't want to be on the road spending long time on the road just to pick and send our children, right? So I guess once most of these needs are ticked off on your list, right, it is a good preschool for you and your family lah. Yeah.
Actually, I have this burning question in my heart for very long. Okay, I just want to ask you. You know, the fees of the preschool, right, actually range at less than 500. All the way to 1,000, some near 2,000. I really need to know, right? And I just very curious, what's the difference between this kind of, you know, like preschool? Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a lot of people asking me the same questions as well. Okay, the short answer is there a difference? Yes, definitely. Okay, and this is the reason why, right? So some schools actually offer a niche and more premium educational experience that other schools cannot offer. Some of these schools with the more premium price tag are operating with a much lower teacher-child ratio. So lesser children in the class with one teacher, right? And this also promises that a lot of the children's needs are met more promptly. That's right. The other things that we are looking at is also facilities. Some of the preschools have like art studio, music studio. They have a children's cooking kitchen, you know, like a children's kitchen and everything else as well. Some even have like swimming pools lah. So I think these are the considerations that parents need to think of when they decide what preschool they would like to enroll their child in, and that explains the price difference.
Wow, no wonder there's so much difference between, you know, 100 plus
$2,000
to 2,000. I think some is even more than 2,000.
It's true, yeah. But I think it's important for me to debunk this particular myth that more expensive means better, and that's not always the case.
So not 越贵越好?
Not all the time.
Okay, not all
so
the time.
Our government does its best to ensure that there's high quality education is still made affordable to the masses.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So I think there are many schemes in place now, like partner operator schemes, and then you have the anchor operator schemes, and the government really just helps families to have access to quality education without burning a hole in their pocket. So at the end of the day, right, if mums or parents ask me, right, it's important to ask yourself whether or not the chosen preschool meets your needs as the family.
Wow. I think this is really, really very important because I myself, the 2 kids, right? Yeah, one is really like, you know, a few hundred, then the other one really goes to 1,000 plus. But I really feel that as a mom that went through this with the 2 quite different education, right? And at the end of the day, right, it really boils down whether it meets the needs of the family and the kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So now moving to another hot topic. Wow, this one very hot, I tell you. Now, a lot of parents will ask, when do we start enrichment? And there are parents who actually start as young as 2 years old. Yeah, so what is your view on this?
Well, I think this conversation has no end once we start. Well, I personally am a believer of exposure. So exposure in what ways is really to expose children to different skills and craft that opens up many possibilities for them as they grow up, right? So as a parent, I can also see where their strengths lies in, and then it helps me to make a more informed decision about enrichment classes. So whether or not is it in sports, whether or not is it in music, arts, or helping them to be better learners, which is PSLE, P6, my personal stance is really to help our children to discover something apart from academics, right?
Yeah,
that they could be good in, that they could be confident in.
Yeah.
So even if we have children who are very, very good in their studies, right, there will be certain seasons where they don't do so well. You know, what is something else that can actually help them to feel good about themselves and to be confident? So for example, right, my older son requested for taekwondo when he was just 5 years old because a lot of his classmates in preschool were doing taekwondo. He says, Mama, I want to do it. I said, sure, okay, sign you up for it. So now at 10, he recently stopped taekwondo, but his interest in martial arts didn't end there, you know. So in school right now, he's actually doing wushu as a CCA. Right? So I think another consideration that parents should have is also to think about what's important for our children and for us as well. So for my husband and I, we are generally quite active. We like to go to the beach, we like to go swimming and everything else as well. So it's very important that our child is water safe. And also because my younger one, he walks into any water body thinking that he can walk on water. So we wanted him to be safe, so sending him for swimming classes is actually what was important for us. Right? So I think personally, right, I would talk to the different coaches and the instructors. I'll talk to friends and ask them, hey, when do you start? And then once I'm comfortable with what I hear, then I will just start. So you mentioned 2 years old. I know of children who go for classes when they are 9 months, right? So
I really like that because like some of our parents who feel that, you know, the kids doesn't like the enrichment, then they will like kind of like force them. So it end up being like, you know, there's conflict in the family and things like that. So I feel the key thing is really touch on what the kids really like, and then giving them something that gives them confidence.
I think some of the parents have also asked like, hey, what's the best age? What is the youngest age? Which is
the 2 months. Cannot. So what is the best age?
So I think the question is not to ask yourself when you should let your child start these enrichment classes, right? But the questions that I would like to ask, right, is the child ready?
Readiness.
Right? How much do I value this skill that my child would acquire and why? For example, I don't want my child to drown now, so please go and learn swimming. Is this a genuine interest? So like my older son, he was interested because the rest of his friends were doing taekwondo. So let's expose him to it. Another question that I always ask parents is, can you afford it? Right? Cost is something that we need to think about with the rising costs in Singapore as well. And can you sustain it, right? As we all know, sending children to classes is a huge commitment. You know, it's like sending them to school every day.
And the time.
Correct, that's right. So I think as parents, we need to know the why behind it more than what is the age or what should we expose them to before we start thinking about sending the children for enrichment.
Wow, this is the endless topic. I think whenever some of our moms, right, when we meet, right, we always have all this. I think really a lot of consideration, and I really learned a lot about, you know, preschool education today. Denise, I think this topic, right, really 讲不完。We can talk many days on that, but I think we need to continue our, you know, chicken rice, or the Claypot chicken.
Okay.
Alright, so we need to put in the rice.
Sure.
Then later on you help me with the chicken. So put in all the rice. So this will be our last step already. Very easy. So I just got to cover it and then take out this cover. And then pass me, Alright. So 这个最难的就是 rice cooker mode. So this takes about 30 minutes. So this is the last step. Then after that you'll be done. Very easy, right?
Yep.
Alright, Denise, I have one last 最后一个, I promise, okay? Last question. It's not about preschool. But I want to ask you, like being a working mom, a full-time working mom, right? Many moms, like they work full-time, they come home from work, they need to spend time with their children, and usually 自己都没有时间了哦。So you mentioned that you start to actually allocate time to specific things. Can you share with me how you actually allocate time for you yourself?
Yeah, so my calendar is like my best friend lah. So as mentioned earlier, I schedule everything lah, from my boys' classes to date nights with my husband, to exercise and like girls' night out. Okay, like that day we went out, right? So I schedule based on what I value most, so I can allocate time to be spent on that. Of course, life in general throws many curveballs at us, right? When the need arises, I will just reschedule those that are important to me again. So I think it's very important for moms to care for ourselves, right? Self-care is so important. Obviously, we would like a 3-day getaway spa. But actually, I guess in reality, it will be very hard for us to do that. So I think it's just about finding what works for us, what we like to do at our free time. So for me, it's just really going out with my girlfriends, maybe going to do my nails, going to do my hair, going for a walk with nature. So that's how I do self-care for myself.
Yeah, I think for all the moms, right, that is watching this right now, do remember self-care is very, very important.
Yes.
Allocate time for yourself, and life is not just your husband,
your children,
housework. I know all this, right, is it takes the whole, I think, 90% of our time. Sometimes self-care, right, it need not to be a day, like what, a 3-day spa or whatever thing. But key thing is consistently take small bit of self-care every day. Some people, like sometimes when I'm very busy, I do like self-care, like 20 minutes, put mask, play some music, I just don't care. I think that is the way that we, both of us, recharge ourselves. And I hope that you have gained a lot of value, learning about preschool education, enrichment, and then about, self-care today. Alright, it's done. 好了好了. Okay, let's come and see, okay? 很烧嘞. Okay, 哇. Okay, Denise 帮我. There you go. Okay, so this portion, right, 哇，可以吃 whole family. But we're going to dish out just one person 的部分.
So this is a portion for 4, right? Or
5,
actually?
Actually can eat 4 or 5. If like one whole family with kids, definitely 是 more than enough.
Not to forget the greens, which are very important for children and adults too, actually.
Yep. 然后可以放一点点
garnish.
Okay.
Okay.
老爸 the dish is done. Okay. Our Claypot Chicken Rice.
Easy pot, 1-pot recipe.
Yes. Alright, our dish is done. And this is an easy dish for busy moms. And my kids really, really love this, and we'll always cook this, like, when days whereby I'm like going crazy. Thank you, Denise, once again for taking your time. I've gained a lot of insight about preschool education, and I hope everyone that watching this feels the same way too. Thank you for watching another episode of Cooking with Joy. If you have any question relating to what we shared today, leave a comment below or DM me on my IG, and you can see the description below to find our ingredient used and the recipe. So remember to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram for more family friendly topics and recipe. We will see you soon.